Righty.
No.
Righty. Do you know what, Righty? I've had enough of that rubbish, man.
Come on, Wright.
You watch Arsenal every week. We focus more on United. I'm watching them. Sit and watch a game. Sit and watch a game with them. We watched them at Leicester we watched them in the FA Cup a few weeks ago. I watched them at Everton on Saturday. People pretended to be closing people down.
But who brought them back into the game? Who's bringing you guys back into the game? You can't. It's not Bruno, Roy. When we're talking about somebody who can actually do something to save you lot, it's Bruno who's doing it.
15th in the league, and he's saving them. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, you should say, if he wasn't there where you'd be.
But you have to have a starting point. I go back to it all. Talent is not enough. You keep going back to the talent. Oh, the talent. Bruno's a talented player, but talent's not enough.
When I used to talk about Bruno, and I said
talent is not enough, Righty. Talent is not enough.
What's he won?
Talk to me.
Now he's won something.
You in the dressing room. Tony Adams was this. Tony Adams was that. Because he was a fighter. Bruno's not a fighter. You've got young players. You have to look at somebody and go, I like what he does. No, they all can't put the ball in the top of the net from 25 yards. I get that. But you want someone's going, lads, are you with me?
Well, we'll get back to Roy in just a quick second. And believe me, you are in for a treat with this one. Roy Keane is at his fiery best as he goes off on one about Man United and Bruno Fernandes. It is an absolute treat to behold. Don't necessarily agree with everything that he says. Stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to elaborate on what the Big D doesn't agree with Roy about. But you know how this works. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And as ever, if you've got something to say, please put it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments. And don't forget to click the notification button too, so that you know when the next Big D video hits. Anyway, without further ado, here's Roy.
So United, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, but Gary...
It's a mess, eh?
You know something, when you read what's going on with the...
Don't believe everything you read.
No, you don't read it. But, like, come on, Roy, everything we're hearing coming out of there is all about the people who are working. We're talking about, you get Dan Ashworth, you get, after a few months, millions to get him out. You know, you extend Ten Hag, millions to get him out. You know, when you look at those kind of, like, crazy decisions, and then we're seeing normal people.
No, but the Ten Hag one, to be fair, I've got some sympathy with, because no United fan was saying sack him at that time.
No, I'm not even talking about saying to sack him. I'm talking about the fact that they kept him on, and now we're talking about scrimping and scraping redundancies with wages for normal people, bro. What's going on there, Gal?
Ian, about 3 years ago, I said that United needed to bring money in, and it was a car crash waiting to happen, this. The club's finances are shot, absolutely shot to pieces. The debt, the recruitment's been reckless. The increase in staff from 600 up to 1,200, which is just unbelievable. The lack of Champions League football, which is now happening, which is 30, 40 million, 50 million a year. It's an absolute mess. The club has run out of cash. The club has run out of cash. What you now see, Ian, honestly, what you now see is desperate decisions. Some of them, I think, to be fair, are needed. Some of them are bad. You know, you don't remove food off people in Old Trafford. You don't do that. You don't take 40 grand off the ex-players. And to be fair, Dan Ashworth was a mess. That's a really bad one, because that's one you've chased for 8 months. Yeah. And then you get rid of him after 3 months. That's a shocker, and that's 4 million quid. So there's some bad decisions being made on the way in. But this is a culmination of 10 years of absolute shitfest of management of the Glazers, to the point whereby £1 billion been paid off in interest. The club is actually, to be fair, deteriorating in performance, cash flow, profit. It's lost 300 million in 3 years.
Wow.
Man United used to be the most profitable football
20
club.
years ago, they were not debt-free.
In 2018, they had 350 million in the bank in 2018. From that point on now, I think Ineos put in 300 million, and there's not much of that left.
You know something, with you have to say, with the Glazers and the way they've done all this, it's like being scammed. It's like they scammed Man United. It's terrible how they can get through. They've come from America and come to one of the biggest club in this country, alongside Liverpool.
Yeah, but that's done now, Righty. It's what you do
about it. Yeah, but you say
it's
done now, but like at the end of the day, something has to be done, because Ineos is meant to come in.
Well, we just made a point. When you chase, you make bad decisions after bad, and they're suffering, United. Just going back, like any team or company.
Just going back to Liverpool.
Glazers, that'll always be an issue.
It's a massive issue, Cara.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying, as Roy says, you know, you've got Ineos now who are probably calling the shots a bit behind the scenes. I mean, where are they going? What are they doing?
No, I think they'll be looking at this moment in time thinking, what the hell? I think they'll be thinking this is absolutely a massive This is far bigger than they ever thought, I'm sure it is.
That's their plan, that's their ethos, though. They do that, don't they? They go in Ineos and they do strip things back. I was reading with
How do you think the
Delaney.
manager feels? Imagine the manager there. I bet he's walked in and
Right.
thought,
Remember the manager's the one who said, listen, this
Wright,
team,
but-
these
but
players
Wright,
ain't good enough, you know what I mean? We need to get a new system. They look
but
frightened.
Wright, what the league-
He's told them what's happening
Righty,
now.
what's happening?
Everyone starts panicking.
You're right. On the pitch, stuff affects everything really badly. But they put 300 million in about a month or so ago, or whatever it was, no, 6 months ago, whenever it was. It's nearly all gone.
Yeah.
It's paying off basically everything. They all think 300 million to other clubs or 250 million to other clubs for players, which is not unusual when you stage payments. But they've got this debt, these massive debt repayments. They've got the payments to other clubs. They've got no Champions League football. And I think there's an element of we've got to strip the club back to a running cost that basically.
what about stripping the club back? Is that like treating people like rubbish?
Oh no, Roy. I think some of the things.
I understand.
Roy, some of the things.
We're not daft. We played for the club.
Roy.
We knew there was a business behind it, but it was all about the football and good people. And then that came. But no, it's the business, and the people
Roy,
are treated like rubbish. So maybe they deserve what they're getting. The club.
But Roy, when you move food from people, I think at Old Trafford, you can't do that.
But when you're
talking about.
sacking people, that's the like morale of the club, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
you
you're
go
right
in
too.
every day. Like sometimes
Absolutely.
Those
you
are the
come
ones
off
that
the
get you
training
going,
pitch.
Jill.
I
They're
go
bad
and chat to
ones.
the canteen.
We're
staff
talking about
and
the value
stuff
of the pound.
like
What
that.
about the value of how you treat people?
Yeah.
The business. Forget the 200 million. You're begrudging people a ticket or a sandwich.
I don't think it could have got any worse for Ineos, not just in terms of where the team are in the league, but when you think of the big decisions, it almost feels like they've got them all wrong. You know, you think of like keeping Ten Hag was proven to be wrong, Dan Ashworth wrong. You know, where the team are, obviously they're not picking the team or playing, but I mean, how's it ever got this bad? And I said to you yesterday, the new manager comes in and you're like, I have sympathy for him because it's really poor, but it shouldn't be this bad.
No.
So it's still in the air whether they've got the right man here. So when you think of like the 3 or 4 real big decisions they've had to make is it a year they've been in or 18 months?
12 months.
Because we all talk about, don't we, oh, the Glazers are in America, let's get football people in, let's get people who they're making the footballing decisions. So these guys are supposed to have a better background than that.
But their track record.
I know.
Their track record is poor.
But every big decision has been poor so far. It's like...
But they've got no their previous is poor decision making with regard to come to sporting teams or particularly football.
Yeah.
So maybe we were the mad ones sitting there going, oh, it's all going to be fixed now. When we go back to the team and the recruitment and the players and showing a bit of fight and a bit of quality, a bit of speed in your play, they draw at everything. It's like they've won the cup. Fucking bizarre. And even the fans, the level of the... I see fans at matches and they're singing for Bruno. I say, these boys, I think you're fucking imposters.
No, bro, not Bruno.
Friday.
No. If you're gonna dig
Do you know
someone
what,
out,
Friday?
don't
I've had
dig-
enough of that rubbish,
No,
man.
come on, right. If you're gonna
You
dig
watch
a-
Arsenal every week.
You're
What
gonna-
about we focus more on United? I'm watching them. Sit and watch a game. Sit and watch a game with them.
In
We
this
watched them at
moment-
Leicester. We watched them in the FA Cup a few weeks ago. I watched them at Everton on Saturday. People pretending to be closing people down.
But who brought them back into the game? Who's bringing you guys back into the game? You can't. It's not Bruno, Roy. When we're talking about somebody who can actually do something to save you lot, it's Bruno who's doing
Saves
it.
the 15th in the league, and he's saving them.
If it
Praise the Lord.
You should say if he wasn't there, where you'd be.
But you have to have a starting point. I'll go back to it all.
Bruno's not
Talent
the
is
one.
not enough. You
Bruno's
keep
not
going
the
back to go to talent. Oh, the talent. Bruno's a talented player, but
But when I
talent's
used
not
to
enough.
talk about Bruno and I said...
Talent
you
is
say-
not enough,
you used to
Friday.
say, what's he
Talent
won?
is not enough.
What's he
you
won?
talk to me.
Now he's won something.
You in the
Now he's
dressing
going
room.
somewhere.
Tony Adams was this, Tony Adams was that. Yeah,
was.
because he was a fighter. Bruno's not a fighter. You've got young players. You have to look at somebody and go, I like what he does. No, they all can't put the ball in the top of the net from 25 yards. I get that. But you want someone's going, lads, are you with me? Are you with me?
Maybe he's not that captain, right? Maybe he's not that. I'm with
No,
you.
he's
but
not.
what he's
Well, I
doing in
guarantee he's
respect
not.
of saving you, playing that pass,
Saving?
the goal.
What's he saving?
He's the one
What's
that
he
brings
saving?
it.
2-2
If he
at
was-
Everton.
If Bruno's
What's he
not-
saving?
If Bruno's
What's he
not there,
saving?
United are in the relegation places.
Righty,
If
relax
Bruno's
yourself.
not
What's
there,
he saving him? What's he saving?
At the moment,
we saw
if
him
Bru-
at Leicester a few weeks ago. We saw him at Leicester. He didn't get kicked.
You're trying to isolate that particular
No, no.
game. Bruno, on a
do
regular
you do?
basis, saves that club in games.
Saves him. We're at in
Come
the
on,
league.
man.
We're at in the league.
I think he's.
Where would they be if they didn't have
All
Bruno?
right.
Am I right or
A
wrong?
place above it.
I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he's a good captain because I see goals go in and I see him
you all day with
shouting
people.
at
He's got
players
more
and
talent
stuff
than
like
I
that.
could
I'm
dream
like,
of.
I
But
wouldn't
talent's
want
not
my
enough to play for a
captain.
big club. If you think talent's enough to play for a big club,
It's not all on Bruno.
No, not all
Where's the
on
rest?
Bruno.
where do you start?
Not all
All right,
on
where do you
Bruno.
start? If we start a young lad, you can't pick on him.
No, I'm not
He's
saying starting a young lad.
You can't start a foreign player. He's new to the league. Maguire the other day couldn't even jump. Who do you pin on Man United? If you're on about the players who walk on the pitch, forget the board and all that for a second. The players who walk on the pitch. So who do you start going? Who do you start pointing fingers? At some stage, you have to go. You've got to start. Players have to look at themselves, look at the person in the mirror. So who would you start with at Man United for starters? If you go, listen, you're what, 15th, 16th in the league? You're getting a 2-2 draw at Everton, you think, oh, you're saving the day. They never kicked the ball for the first 60, 70 minutes.
I know you're saying who am I starting with. I know I'm not starting with Bruno, if anything. I'm not starting with him.
Of course you're not. Who are you starting with then?
I don't know. Just because he's the captain, he might be petulant, whatever you think, but
You
he's the one who's...
You sit there every few weeks and you say, Tony Adams was amazing. He'd be... When I was
That's
with
the
England...
captain I'm used to.
Yeah, of course.
That's the
That's what the captain we expect.
Yeah, but you haven't got that.
Tony
player.
Adams was Tony Adams the most talented player in the Arsenal dressing room?
No.
So why do you look up to Tony Adams and go, listen, I have a lot of time
He's
for
an
him?
amazing leader.
And what did he do in his leadership? Leadership is an action.
Led us.
Yeah,
He
in
led
what
us
way?
to the championship and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
What's leadership to you about? Leadership to me is about action.
Yeah.
Right.
Bruno does action. Maybe you don't like his petulance, but
No, I don't. I just think if I had a captain, I wouldn't want him when I go blaming him. That's what I say. I don't think it's about
He
pointing
needs more
fingers.
players around him.
It's not about blaming. It's about people taking responsibility.
He needs more quality around him. Bruno would be better.
Responsibility.
I'm not having Bruno getting
Of course you're not. Well, who then? I've asked you a question. Who would you start going, he's got to do more? I'm not about a player taking responsibility. When they go out on that pitch, listen, show some courage. Want the ball. When you close somebody down, close them down properly. We asked you earlier, could you play off the front? No, I have to be at people. I have to be on the shoulder, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but that's my game, right?
Yeah, that's your game, yeah. And people appreciated you for your work rate, blah, blah, blah.
And I worked really hard.
Yeah,
as well.
but this thing, Liverpool, you get rewards from all this talent. You walk your socks off.
I'm
And just United team. Let me tell you something. When you close somebody down, when I call a bluffer, this is what I call a bluffer.
Go on.
So you're there, and I'm closing you, but I'm not really closing you down. So, and then you pass it. I've done my bit. Excuse my language.
I've never really wanted to see Ben as much in my life. So...
And we had a nightmare with the scores.
Ben...
I saw them.
Super Six!
Well, I mean, that was quite a rant from Roy Keane. And I understand his frustration because Man United are crap at the moment. However, I agree with Wrighty on this one, and I don't necessarily agree with Jill either, because they're basically talking about effort and taking responsibility and whatnot. And okay, fair enough. Bruno Fernandes can be a little bit petulant, but it shows that he cares, that he wants to win, he wants the team to do well, and he's taken on responsibility. He's carrying that team. And yeah, United are, I don't know where we're at in the league now. 13th, 14th, I'm not even sure, to be honest. But Ian Wright, which very rare that I agree with anything Ian Wright says, but Ian Wright is absolutely on the button. If Bruno Fernandes wasn't in that team, who knows where Man United would be right now. And in the past couple of games as well, Bruno Fernandes has just absolutely dominated both games. I mean, the Ipswich game last night, it was all Bruno. Everything that we did last night was because of Bruno Fernandes. Against Everton, it was Bruno again. Bruno Fernandes is absolutely world class, and he shouldn't be at Manchester United now. He should be at Real Madrid or Barcelona or a Man City or even an Arsenal. Someone who's challenging for silverware, because he's too good for Manchester United. So for Roy Keane to absolutely lambast Bruno Fernandes I think it's unfair. With regards to the situation at Man United, I mean, it's well documented that, the whole situation, it is a mess. There is one thing that Manchester United can do to move forward and get the team on an equal footing, because it all starts with what happens on the pitch, and which is what they talk about there, to be fair, and that is, get the recruitment right, get the team winning, get the team up the table, challenge them for the Champions League, and get back in the Champions League. You do that, you get more sponsorship money, you get more competition money, you get more prestige, you're able to attract better players, and then also, obviously, if you get the recruitment right moving forward, consistently get the recruitment right, then everything else will compound and everything flows downstream from the team winning football matches. And for Manchester United to win football matches, they need players like Bruno Fernandes, because Is Bruno Fernandes the only world-class player that we've got at the moment? I don't know. I think De Ligt's world-class. I do. I think Matthijs De Ligt's world-class. I think Ugarte can be a world-class defensive midfielder. Dorgu's looking good. Dalot's been playing well. To say that they're world-class at the moment, they're not world-class. They're good players. There's a lot of talent in that team, and there's a lot of potential in that team. But obviously, it just hasn't been sort of purring in the way that, you know, one would hope they would purr, so to speak. But moving forward, the team has been looking a little bit more promising the past couple of games with Patrick Dorgu. And as I've said before in other videos, he's brought a really nice balance to the side. And once you've got the team set up with good balance and everyone knows what they're doing and they know where everyone else is at, they can start to sort of understand each other. They can understand each other's behaviours and, you know, what kind of runs that people are going to be making, what kind of passes they're going to be able to receive and give to each other, and they're going to know where people are at when, you know, they can slot someone through and all of that good stuff. And you need someone in the middle of that team dictating everything and making everything tick, and that's Bruno Fernandes. I don't understand the hate towards Bruno Fernandes. I really don't. And I don't even understand why he's such an easy target. Well, do you know what I mean? So what if he has a moan and he's a bit petulant? So what? I think Roy Keane didn't have a moan at the referee. I remember that time, you know, back in like 99 or something like that, Roy Keane and 4 other United players surrounded the referee and they were screaming in his face. So, I mean, look at Roy Keane's reaction in that video. Unnecessarily kicking off. I mean, it's entertaining and I'm not necessarily complaining, but I don't know. I just feel as though, you know, people that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And I feel as though Roy Keane, as entertaining as he is, I think he's very harsh on his criticism towards certain players, and also, historically speaking, I mean, the way he used to lambast David De Gea, it was shocking. The way he used to lambast David De Gea when, you know, he made the odd mistake, you would think it was a Sunday League goalkeeper. So Roy Keane, he's just a bit, I don't know, he's just a bit overzealous at times, you know, and I don't know, he maybe lets his emotions get the better of him at times, really. I mean, it's good when you're a player, I suppose, to a degree, because it just gives you that extra edge and that extra bite when you're, you know, playing at the highest level. That's fair enough. But in terms of management, I mean, he hasn't exactly covered himself in glory on that front. I mean, I don't think there's a manager or a team in world football now that would say no to having Bruno Fernandes in the team. I mean, the stats don't lie. I mean, they don't lie. You know, the goals that he scores, the assists, the chances created that he provides, he's absolutely world class. World class. Put him in a winning side and he's up there competing for Ballon d'Ors. I mean, he even says so himself there. You know, Bruno Fernandes has got more talent than Roy Keane. What Roy Keane had. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Two different players, of course. But yeah, I just don't understand the hate towards Bruno Fernandes. And he says, well, who do you point the finger at? I've never seen Roy Keane like kick off as much as he does towards Bruno Fernandes at, say, someone like Onana. Onana has been horrific the past couple of years. Horrific. Why is he not kicking off at him? Why is he not pointing the finger at him? He's been terrible. He's not kicking off at Højlund. He hasn't been playing well lately. And I'm not necessarily saying that he should kick off at them. I'm just saying he's kicking off at the team's best player. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, the whole situation is a mess. At least Bruno Fernandes is trying the best he can to make something good out of a bad situation. And of course the United fans are going to chant Bruno, Bruno, Bruno. He's the only one that they can chant about at the moment. Be absolutely lost without Bruno Fernandes. Lost. I mean, we're lost anyway. But at least he's trying to find the way. It just gets on my nerves that a little bit, thinking about it, really. I mean, I don't even think he kicked off this much about Marcus Rashford, who was just moseying about. I mean, he has criticised him a little bit, but to kick off like that, wow. Completely unnecessary. No, the Big D's not going to criticise Bruno Fernandes. The day the Big D criticises Bruno Fernandes is the day that Bruno stops trying and he stops being petulant, because that is a sign that at least he cares. Bruno Fernandes cares more about Man United than Roy Keane does. He does. Of course he does. But I do agree in the sense that what Roy Keane said there at the beginning of the clip, don't believe everything that you read, Ian, is what he said there to Wrighty. And yeah, I think there's some truth in that. I do. And there's some truth in what Gary Neville said there, that United are sort of a little bit bloated in the way that they've been ran. So, I mean, if you've got 1,200 people running the club and you only need 600, why would you retain the services of the other 600? It just doesn't make any business sense. So why wouldn't you strip it back and just make it more efficient? As long as those people, get a fair redundancy, they'll be able to find a new job. They've got Man United on the CV, It is a little bit petty that, they're taking away food and things like that. I mean, but in terms of how the club's run, you get the recruitment right, then you get the team right, the team gets better, they start winning, then everything else flows downstream from there, as I have said. And I've said this before, a lot of what's being put out there, I think, is a conscious decision to benefit Manchester United in the medium to long term in the transfer market, so that United don't have to pay that Man United tax, which is like an extra 10 or 20%, just because it's Man United. So if everyone thinks that Man United is skint, then they're less likely going to try and take the piss out of Man United in charging them extortionate amounts of money for any given player. Because there's just no need to spend 80 million on a player like Anthony, and I'm not even ragging on Anthony. Yeah, it was an interesting clip, but what do you guys think? Do you think Roy Keane is a little bit overzealous in his criticisms towards Bruno Fernandes? Do you think he's overzealous and too harsh on players in general? And do you think he shows a little bit of favouritism to certain players as well? Because he's not criticising Onana too much. He's not criticising Højlund too much. But he lambasts Bruno Fernandes, even though he's our best player. Let me know what you think in the comments. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think. But as ever, see you in the next one.